This is a clip from the Cannon podcast. To hear the full episode and get access to exclusive benefits, head over to patreon.com/thecannonpod and sign up for just £3 a month.
But there was, I think, one youngster, I think it was a couple of youngsters, but one youngster specifically that caught the eye. Lino Sosa. George is the Hilton expert, and I'm sure he's lining up as it says. Oh, okay. What do you mean by that? And I think, Sosa's is he 18 years of age, left back, signed from West Brom, I think back a couple of years ago. And, look, a lot of potential, a lot of excitement around him, George. So let's talk about Lino Sosa. And with the fact that we've only got one natural left back available in the squad, Zinchenko's that player, and he's more of a midfielder anyways. What happens to Sosa? Is it potential that Arteta throws Sosa in certain games if there is injury, suspensions? And could he be the breakthrough youngster, the next one to break into the team?
He's definitely a player that I believe highly in. I think we've name dropped Lino Sousa before on the pod, and he's definitely near the first team. And as a left back, what's really interesting about him is he's got this versatility towards being both that inverted fullback profile, which he's spent the last year doing for the U21s. But he's also got this athletic ability that he's really excellent on the overlap. And one of his best superpowers is the half space cross. I think it went around and went viral last year, that kind of half space cross. Forget which cup it was in, but it was to Rosiak, where he's in the left half space and he does a brilliant first time ball back post, and Rosiak finishes, who's another fullback to watch out for. But Sousa is just incredibly intelligent. I think he's got incredible composure, in terms of receiving the ball. And I think he's got this versatility to even perform as a left center back if needed out of possession. And so he's got the full package. The issues that I've got with Lino Sosa after all these pros is that I don't know if he's quite ready yet. He still strikes me as a player that needs a little bit more of like a year of development in terms of his defensive positioning. He's a very avid dueler, but sometimes he can get caught out with third man runs and kind of blindside awareness of those runs. That is something that he can get caught out in. And I think sometimes he isn't great about meeting his marker out wide. There are times he can get burnt, as a really quick winger can kind of do him on the outside sometimes. And so these aren't things to be massively worried about. It's just I feel that he might need or benefit at least from another year in the slight cameos. But look, in terms of him being in, it's exciting. I must end on this. It's a slight technicality because he doesn't achieve U21 status until December. And there's a lot of teams players like Ruel Walters who people expected to see, but he's already a U21 and he's older, so he doesn't have to be registered for the senior squad. Sousa would, because he's still young enough. And I think the key is there's potential to see him in the group stages, right? And I think that's the big reason that, you're going to have him included in the senior list, because otherwise he wouldn't be able to. So there's just a squad technicality why he's in there. It's not to say Ruel Walters won't be. He's allowed to. He can be on the B list. It's just Lino Sousa can't. But yeah, I'll just end on, I think he's a very exciting talent that I actually see a lot of first team potential, not just depth in the squad, but I think Lino Sousa could be a guy that could challenge for the starting position in a couple of years. But I think it's just a little bit early. I just see some things where I think this boy needs a little bit of work positionally. He needs a little bit more work in terms of his defensive diligence. And then other than that, he's got really exciting athletic and technical potential.
George, just quickly, sorry. There's a young bloke called, I think his name's Cedric. He's Portuguese guy, young guy coming out of the academy.
Baller.
Do you think he's going to make it?
I respectfully hope that he's
got a lot of central running power.
Yeah, I think we signed him from Ajax.
You know what's crazy? Cedric is I'm normally viewed as an optimist. I think Cedric and Rob Holding were my two biggest agendas in the Arsenal squad. I just can't see them play. I think they're a net negative.
I think Cedric is the most underrated player in our squad because no one rates him. Absolutely no one.
Clearly Arteta rates him.
No one rates him. And I think he's like a 12th to 18th level Premier League fullback.
Yeah, he couldn't even start for Fulham. And now he's going to be in a Champions League squad for Arsenal. I don't know how he does it. It's mad. It actually is. But going back to Sosa himself, the potential of as an inverted fullback, maybe going forwards, he offers so much. I don't know as much about him as George does because he's, of course, the hill and an expert. But more importantly, I think, Alex, is Arsenal, in terms of defensive players that have come through the academy, defenders, the only players I can think of is left backs, Kieran Gibbs, Ashley Cole. I'm not going to really count Bayern because he was more of a Barcelona academy player, and in terms of centre backs, I can't think of any. So in terms of that left back position, the talent is obviously there. We talked about the potential of him breaking into the first team, But he has to be given the opportunity. And if we think about Mikel Arteta so far is, how many debuts has he given in terms of academy players? The only ones I can think of really is Ethan Nwaneri, maybe Real Waters as well. I mean, we're talking competitive debuts here. So what does Mikel Arteta need to do to then find a way to give these players chances? Because you've got the Champions League, but the Champions League is going to be very coveted this year. Every fan will want to win that game, to win the group stage, to get forward. You've got the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. How can Mikel Arteta be more brave, let's just say, and throw these youngsters and give an opportunity?
Yeah. I think I'm going to throw a phrase out there. Stable anxiety.
Thanks for checking out the Cannon Podcast. To get full episodes and access to exclusive benefits, head over to patreon.com/thecannonpod and sign up for just £3 a month.